Planning your Saturday night can be a bit of a bitch.
Saturday night is the loneliest night in the week.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Load up Toxic Radio every Saturday night for the heavy metal happy hour with the one and only Fishman.
I know that, dude.
There will be interviews, ticket giveaways, a little bit of banter with Toxic Mike, and of course great metal from the 80s all the way through today. Starts at 7 p.m., runs until Fish says it's over.
Everyone get out!
Catch it only on Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic. Toxic Radio. We're loud, proud, and in some countries, not allowed.
Oh my God.
But play it safe. Play it toxic. Hey guys, dating life gone pretty shitty?
I find you so creepy, I think you should have to walk around with a bell around your neck.
Finding yourself getting a little desperate for some female companionship?
Alexa, tell me you love me.
Hell no. You disgust me.
What you need is to upgrade your style right now. The Toxic Store's got exactly what you need. Pick up some stylish gear featuring Deviant Gamer, Toxic Radio, and the Heavy Metal Happy Hour.
Oh, yeah!
You can find the store through the Toxic Radio app or toxicradio.net. Get in the game.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Get yourself a little love.
That guy's getting boobies.
Yeah, he is.
Toxic Radio and the Toxic Store. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic.
In the beginning, there was radio.
The radio is one of the outstanding developments of the 20th century.
The radio transmitter was used for large-scale public entertainment.
Then came computers.
You gotta keep up with the times, you know.
Imprints of man's never-ending path of progress.
Back in my day, we didn't have no fancy computer boxes to use.
Shall we play a game?
The internet tied it all together.
The internet gave us a whole world of exciting new possibilities.
A bright new era dawning. A new dimension in communications.
It is possible to establish communication instantaneously from any place at any time.
And now it's the 21st century. And we've made it all toxic.
Hold on to your hats. Okay, we're ready to roll.
This is Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic.
That's what I'm talking about.
While you're rocking with us at Toxic Radio, don't forget to check us out on social media.
I want details, and I want them right now.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Now you're talking, brother.
Chat with us, keep up on news. Just don't make it weird. Don't be a stalker. Don't be that guy.
You just want to suck the joy out of everything.
Toxic Radio. Get infected.
Welcome to show 48, Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Gene Walzak. And to my left, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, college, Catrell.
What's going on, everybody?
And just soon, in just the waking moments, Scholastic Shally will be calling in. We'll get him in on here through video. Just got his COVID vaccine, so I hope he feels all right. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit under the weather, so wish him the best, but he'll be calling in. Show must go on.
Yes,
we
sir.
got a lot to talk about, and it's all pigskin. Pigskin. There he is. Shally, Scholastic one.
Going on.
What's happening, big dog? So we got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about college football, NFL. Our Pickem segment is back. We already started hot. Shally nailed both his picks last week. Me and Catrell both hit our super dogs. I mean, if you're ready to make some money this season, football-wise, we are ready. We are ready. We got our top 10 power rankings list. It's our power rankings going into the season, but I'm sure we all did it a little bit differently and kind of like, I don't know, I have a little bias. He's got a little bias. We all got a little bias, so we'll get into that. And I'm going to call a co-host out for making us talk about a game this week that I don't think we should talk about. Kidding. But we got to recap last week's college football because Clemson, Georgia was the game of the week. game of the week. It was a huge game, and Georgia did exactly what I said they would do. That defense was smothering. I love Georgia this year. I think that this is the year Kirby Smart gets over the hump, and I think he's got 2 shots at it to beat Bama. He can beat him in the SEC title game, or he can beat him in the college football playoff, because I think he runs the table, and even if they lose in the SEC title game, I think he can still beat him in the college football playoffs. So you're going to get 2 shots to take Bama out this year. I think this is the year Georgia's national championship run happens. What did you guys think about DJ Ukulele and Clemson's offense? What did you guys think about Clemson's defense, who played a hell of a game, by the way? That gets overshadowed. Clemson's defense played great. They allowed Georgia to score 3 points. That's it. And then what did you think about that Georgia front 7? So I'll start with College Catrell, since it's right next to me. And he's looking pretty cute.
So, I mean, the game definitely was a lot different than I was expecting. I mean, I think, going into the game, we expected Clemson and Georgia's defense to look good, but I feel like we also expected more points. Now, granted, I wouldn't say that I was expecting a 40-37 kind of ball game, but DJ Ukulele, he played not up to his standard. I mean, I would say he played bad. I mean, you turn the ball over, you throw the pick 6, inexcusable. I mean, that's just a bad read. But I think my biggest takeaway is that I feel like I underestimated how the Clemson offensive line would look. DJ played bad, of course. Like, there's no, sugarcoating that. But that offensive line did not play well, and Georgia has some animals on that front 4. Like, the front 4 on the Georgia team are completely unbelievable. So I got to give Georgia their credit. If they are going to be a serious title contender, they got to figure it out on offense. And I think that they will. I think that's a little foreshadowing for a little bit later. But, got to give Georgia their credit. Neutral site game. I mean, that was basically Clemson's
backyard.
Yeah, exactly. That was basically a Clemson home game, having in Charlotte. But got to give credit to the Bulldogs. But I do think Clemson will bounce back.
Oh, of course. But I see you're taking a Dante stance already. And like Dante, East Coast Gridiron shot it. The offensive line. I don't.
No, the offensive line stunk. I don't care. I mean, yes, DJ took some bad stacks. The offensive line stunk. I mean, you got to call it what it is.
I don't think they played as bad as both of you guys are saying. I think they played bad. All right, so
if they stunk, then,
all right, like B-, C+.
That's not stink.
Okay, so that's where I feel like their offensive line was. And I'll get Shally's opinion in a minute. But one thing I want to talk about is that front 7 from Georgia made plays. And if you look, I think DJ took 7 sacks. Am I correct?
He did.
I think 4 of them were after 5 seconds. So that's on him.
But it's not even just about the sacks, though. I mean, the sacks was, of course, part of it. But just seeing what they were doing in the run game, I mean, like, Clemson lost 2 key offensive linemen last year to the draft. So
everyone loses players to the draft. I don't want to hear that.
But that's kind of what makes the point, though. Like, if you're losing guys to the draft, you lose top guys to the draft, and then you got these freshmen and sophomores coming in, and it's their first game, and they're going up against one of the best D-lines in the country. That kind of happens.
Give them the roses, baby. I love it. Shally, what'd you think about the game, brother?
I got 2 points. I think to Gene's point, and Catrell mentioned it too, that Georgia front 7 is a championship winning defense. I don't know if that means they're going to beat Alabama. We're going to have to wait for that game. But they're really good. They're really good. And I said it, to both you guys after the game. It's not easy to come in and just be Trevor all of a sudden. I don't think people realize him starting as a true freshman, how special that was and how special he was. DJ didn't look great. I mean, that wasn't the quarterback we saw at Notre Dame last year by any means. They're going to have some growing pains on that offense. They have a true freshman running back in Shipley. They lost ETN. They lost Trevor Lawrence. To Gene, to your point, though, and I'm going to get back to, Clemson's defense played great. They're going to be okay. In that conference, I'm expecting them to show up in the playoff, 11-1 or 12-1, whatever their record's going to be. Because I don't think anybody in the ACC is going to beat them. They'll get their offense figured out. Those kids will get reps. And DJ, he's just going to get more comfortable as time goes. Georgia, I think Georgia's going to have 2 cracks at Alabama. If Georgia doesn't falter anywhere along the way and they get to the SEC championship game undefeated and Alabama's undefeated, I don't really think that game really matters for more than seeding in the college football playoff because they're both going to go. Georgia looked really good. They do have to get their offense going because there will be teams in the SEC that are going to score no matter how good your defense is. We've seen it with Alabama year after year. But Georgia looked dominant. That defense was dominant in that whole game.
And we'll talk about how dominant it was. I want to talk about how dominant it were. You know, Clemson had 180 total yards for the game. That is ridiculously low.
They had 4 at halftime or something like that.
They had 2 rushing yards. 2. I want everyone to understand how dominant that Georgia front seven is going to be. They are unreal. And I'll tell you right now, I've been on Georgia all year, and I'm going to stay on them. I'm going to stay on them. I'm going to stay on them. Georgia Bulldogs for the national title. 2 rushing yards, guys. 2. Sorry, Shally. Did you have anything else you want to say there?
No, I mean, I like, you know, I'll give you your credit. You've been on them since the absolute get-go. I'm not ready to crown them national champs. As good as they looked, our other concern was everybody wanted to see what Alabama was going to look like, and Alabama looked like Alabama. So
They did.
So until you beat them, you got to beat Alabama.
Well, segue Shally. Anything you want to add for Clemson, Georgia still? Segue Shally went right into our next game. We got to talk about the U versus Bama. The U versus Bama was everything we didn't think it would be. Kidding. But at the end of the day, a couple points I want to point out. Eric King only missed 8 passes in that game. He was 23 of 31. 2 were picks, 6 incompletions. The part that was troubling, and this shows you how good Bama is going to be, is their front gave him so much pressure. He had no time. And I got to give the Eric King credit because it's tough to say give credit to a guy who threw 2 picks and only threw for 150 yards on 31 passes. He was only like 5.7 yards per attempt for the game. But I got to give him credit because he was making quick reads all night. They were in his lap all night. Miami, I don't know how they're going to look versus a normal front seven, but versus an NFL front seven like Alabama's putting up there, you have to protect him more. And De'Aaron King did anything he could do. And, like, it's tough for me to say he had a terrible game because if you watch that game, it was, like, 50 times worse than Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. It was. What are your guys' thoughts of that game? Did you guys get a chance to see it all? I know you might have been watching Michigan at the same time.
I was going back and forth. I actually recorded the Miami game because I wanted to watch Alabama. I was more concerned with Alabama, but I think you nailed it right on the head. I don't think Derek King played bad at all. I think the kid played about as well as you could with the circumstances. I'll go to the other side of the ball for me, which was I think was a little encouraging for me for Miami. Their front seven did okay in that game at the beginning. They got a little bit of pressure on Bryce Young. They were hanging in there, and then there were certain things that weren't working for Alabama. And they just have the athletes, and they switched up their offensive game plan over the course of a series. They started throwing a bunch of bubble screens and stuff like that. And then that game really got out of hand. Then Bryce Young took a couple shots down the field and hit all of them. Their defense is going to be okay. I mean, I think they'll be there towards the end. You can't honestly say they're any worse than some of the other teams in the ACC played this weekend.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, so I think they have a shot to be there at the end. I think Florida State looked a lot better than we thought they were going to. I'm not. Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, North Carolina was disappointing big time, and I don't believe in Virginia Tech. So
I got points to that. I
know we're gonna get there, but I think Miami did okay. I mean, again, it's Bama. Bama's made a lot better teams look a lot worse, and I hate to say it, that offense is going to be fine. Bryce Young looked good. The receivers look good. They got like 3 running backs that can just run you over. It's Alabama, man. I mean, it's just I hate them, and I hate the dominance, but it's no, I really do. But at some point,
that clip from last year where he's like, roll, you know.
Yeah, he said it, dude. I can't finish this sentence.
Roll Tide. But
we don't need a clip. He said it again.
But at some point you just have to respect the dominance, man. Like you really do. I hate it. It's like watching the Yankees in the 2000s. Like I can't stand the team. I can't stand any of it. But to just constantly get it done. And it's I hate to say it, but people are like they don't rebuild, they reload, and it's just true. I hate it, but they're good. They're really good. Their defense, and somebody put it up on the wire line a couple minutes ago. Their defense is every bit as good as Georgia's. I mean, so it's
and their offense looks better.
I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, we're in the same boat we always are. That's what sucks. I don't even know what to tell you. Yeah, there it is, Joseph Jeffers. I'll tell you right now, after week 1 though, I'm excited for Alabama, Georgia. I mean, that's got like all-time game, like instant classic ESPN written all over it. If everybody stays healthy and they get there,
couldn't agree with you more. I would love to see that. One thing I want to get into before we segue into our picks for like this week and kind of previewing the games this week. You, Bama?
Yeah, I mean, Bama was as impressive as they could have been. I definitely didn't see that game going that way. I thought Miami having Derek King, him being as good as a quarterback that he is, I thought he would, lead that offense a little bit more. But like you said, he had no time back there. He did what he could, but that Alabama defense was just stifling. And it was definitely interesting to see all those guys. I mean, for the most part, besides Mechie, all those guys are, that was their first real starts of their career. So, well, at Bama at least. You got the transfer from Ohio State, Jamison Williams, who looked every bit of a number 1 receiver there, and then Bryce Young, and then all their trio of running backs. So Alabama is everything that they were probably expected to be before the season. That's why everybody had them as the number 1. I definitely had my doubts, but, I mean, those are all gone after week 1. So
I kind of wanted to get your opinion on you, Bama, because I'm going to go right back to you. I want to know how you thought your team looked. You thought your team looked versus Minnesota, because we were talking during it, and after Ohio State went up 7-0,
10-0.
You texted our group and said,
I did.
Oh, Jesus.
Roll.
You're going to roll.
Okay. So what was your thoughts on the game? Because I have some things I would like to bring up and then get your opinion on that too.
So, I mean.
That means he has some criticisms.
Everybody saw, Mo Ibrahim he's a beast, and it's a shame that we're not going to be able to see him the rest of this college football season. But, I mean, he was giving our guys the blues. And Minnesota, as quiet as it kept, I know they said it on the broadcast, but Minnesota has one of the best offensive lines in the country, just based on, their experience and then the size of those guys. So, I definitely underrated that before the game, and, they showed that they were dominant. And to Ohio State's credit, at first it seemed like they were just going to get steamrolled with the offensive line is going to steamroll the D-line. That's not to say I didn't think Ohio State would win, but they definitely battled after a while. Don't get me wrong. They couldn't stop any counter plays, but they definitely battled. The one thing that I am worried about, though, Ohio State missed their starting 2 cornerbacks that game. And, Sevyn Banks is supposed to be their number 1 cornerback. He's battled injuries all camp, and he didn't play last night, so that is definitely a concern for me going forward throughout the season. The offense with C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud did not look comfortable in there the first half. Ryan Day made his job a lot easier, gave him some great play designs in the second half. He made a lot of easy throws. The throw to Chris Olave across the field, yes, Olave was open, but that's a good throw. He didn't have to threaten any needles, so we still have to see what he's like under pressure when he has to threaten needles and they're playing, tight man-to-man coverage, but I like the way that he responded in that second half. Okay,
so Shally, you watched the game. Can you break down Ohio State versus Minnesota in your eyes, and then I'll get into what I got.
I think they got a little bit lucky with Ibrahim blowing out his Achilles. I would have liked to see how that would have came down the stretch. Just saw a lot of momentum and kind of the air go out of the stadium when he went down. I don't disagree with anything Catrell said. I would be a little bit more concerned about Stroud if I were him. He didn't make one contested throw in a tight window that he had to the whole game. Granted, it's week 1, on the road, conference game, not an easy environment. So I'll cut him some slack on that. He needs to get better fast, though. He's got 2, first-round pick wide receivers, and I think he's got to start making throws that are going to matter soon. Ryan Day did a great job of game planning, which he does. I mean, he's a very good offensive coach. I would be concerned about C.J. Stroud. Kind of like I said earlier about Trevor. It's not easy being Justin Fields either. It's not a just step in and, hey, it's not a plug and play situation. It just goes to, credit how good those two guys really were last year for their respective teams. On a positive note, though, they won the game, and they're 1-0 in the Big Ten. This is kind of how they started last year. And it's, I wouldn't even call it an ugly W, but, a struggling, a little bit of a harder W than they thought it was going to be on the road in the Big Ten to open the season isn't a bad step to start the season on. So, it's like any other team. It's the first week, first game. I fully expect Ryan Day to have them looking better this week against Oregon. Ohio State's going to do Ohio State things. They got the athletes and the players to do that. I think you'll see a better performance out of everybody across the board this week against Oregon.
Okay, so anybody besides me watch Last Chance U? I love Last Chance U. It's like such a fun. Okay, so Ohio State versus Minnesota, to me, reminded me of a very Last Chance U University game. You knew the athletes and you knew like all the better players were on the one team. Ohio State looked faster. They looked stronger. They looked more athletic. The thing that scares me about them is they allowed 200 rushing yards. Now, with that being said, both corners being out don't affect that as much as your front seven is your front seven. You really have to be able to stop the run. Maybe the argument could be safeties over top and being able to do that. But in my opinion, Ohio State's got to work on their edges and discipline, because on those counter plays, it looked like they were so undisciplined, cutting right through the hole, trying to make a play in the backfield and getting caught with their pants down. If Ibrahim doesn't get hurt, I still think they win the game. I still think Ohio State wins the game. But what I will say is this. I think there's a lot of trap games that happened this past week in college football. A lot of them. And I think this might be one of them. And I'll get into that in a minute because we're going to preview Ohio State versus Oregon this week. What are the things that stood out to me? Bill, let me ask you a question. You're a degenerate like me. What stands out to you when you look at Ohio State versus Oregon? I'm throwing I think it's right now.
It's going to be a very offensive game. I can tell you that right now. I haven't looked at the over/under on that game, but whatever it is, I would assume it to go over. Even though 66% of the games opening weekend went under, which is a crazy stat. But I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I think it's going to be up and down. And from what I saw of Oregon, granted they were playing a decent Fresno team. I don't have a ton of faith in them slowing Ohio State down if Ohio State's firing on all cylinders. I can tell you that much.
If you watch that Oregon game, and by the way, I was all over Fresno.
Yeah.
If you watch that game, if it wasn't for the strip sack fumble and by Thibodeau and the second fumble on Fresno dropped the first two balls of the game they had, and it was 14-0 Oregon before you could blink your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Outside those first two plays of the game, Fresno outclassed that team. They outclassed that team. Here's what stands out to me. You look at Oregon, you look at Ohio State, you look at that game, and like what you try to do is you try to develop a spread in your head of what the game should be. So like in my head, if you looked at the spread, do you know what the spread is, Bill?
It's 14.5 right now.
That's ridiculous. You know what that tells me? They want money on Oregon bad. They want money on Oregon so bad. Ohio State minus 14.5 might be the best play of the week. Seriously, if you think about it, they're in a trap game. Oregon beats Fresno State in a close game. Ohio State's looking forward to Oregon, looking forward to the big game. We should beat Minnesota. We're way better athletes than them. They're looking forward to Oregon, and they got the home opener, the whole 9 yards. I look at this game as Ohio State is going to roll them and just jump up the rankings. Well, they're the third now, so they're not going to jump up any higher. But my point being is they're going to jump up in everyone's public opinion. I think Ohio State, who allowed 200 yards rushing, it will be a high-scoring game. I agree with you, Bill. But I also think that Ohio State is going to slow down Oregon like Fresno did. Because if you really look at that game, outside the first 4 minutes of the game, Oregon scored 21 points. That's not a ton versus Fresno State. That's not. Fresno State isn't getting 5-star recruits all across the board. They're not doing that. Ohio State's going to run them out the door. And I think Olave goes for 200 yards in that game. Mark that shit down. What's your thoughts on Ohio State, Oregon? You can't get any more Ohio State than that comment, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Ohio State does cover. I tend to agree with your sentiments too. I do feel like that was I know CJ Stroud didn't look as good as I would have liked him to look, but I also kind of like him having the test there. You don't want him to just roll against a bad school and then have all the confidence in the world and not realize that, hey, I gotta be better against better competition. So I did like that he had somewhat of a test there against Minnesota. I do think that Olave and Wilson are going to be matchup nightmares for Oregon. I mean, they were having trouble with Fresno, so I definitely think the best tandem in college football is going to give them a problem. So I definitely like Ohio State in this one. The game is in Columbus. It's going to be their first home game of the year. Ohio Stadium's going to be rocking, so I'm going to roll with the Buckeyes. Hopefully we can get Sevyn Banks back in the secondary, and then for Oregon, you have no idea what's going on with Kayvon Thibodeau. So they haven't really – they say he's day-to-day with the ankle injury, but with an ankle injury at that position where you have to, run the hoop and, bend the edge there, that's not really something to play with, especially for a guy who has top 5 NFL pick written all over him. Like, you don't want to do anything crazy. So.
You don't want him to play. Don't lie.
I mean, of course not. Of course I don't want him to play, but I don't see how – even if he does play, I don't see how he would be at 100%.
So, Bill, what do you think about this game?
I think Ohio State's going to win. Again, the only thing I'll say is, if we're going to give Ohio State credit for, and give them the chance to improve, I think you have to, on the same hand, think Oregon's going to look better this week as well. I don't know why you would think they would go to practice all week and come out and look exactly the same. So I do think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. Again, I haven't seen anything that tells me Oregon's going in to the horseshoe and winning that game, though. Like, I didn't see anything Saturday. The only thing I think is a little bit funny, Catrell, how you guys not going to sell out a game, dude?
Come on,
COVID.
One thing we don't have a problem with doing that. Just saying.
I bet you don't.
Two small points. If we all agreed that CJ Stroud didn't play great, Ohio State, regardless of the 2 turnovers, Ohio State still dropped a 40.
Good.
What?
I don't think he played good.
Okay, so we obviously don't think he played good. Ohio State still dropped a 45 on Minnesota. And I got news for you. Minnesota's probably got a better defense than Oregon. Especially without Thibodeau.
The one thing, though, is that, yes,
I'm not going there.
Stroud didn't thread the needle for anything. Like I said, I thought the Olave pass across the field was a good pass. He also
missed by 6 yards, dude.
He also threw some bad deep balls to begin with, but then he got it on target. So I do think Olave and Wilson are going to get behind that Duck secondary. So as long as he connect on the deep ball, I think he'll be in good shape.
Okay, so another game we have to talk to, because you're staying in the Big Ten, is the game of the week. Washington at Michigan. Why the hell this is the game of the week? I guess this is their opportunity to put Michigan on national TV. But Washington stinks. Sorry. I don't know what's called.
On national TV all the time.
I'm talking about like the 8 o'clock Michigan game. I don't know. You're nuts. You're nuts, Petey. You're nuts. I would love – listen, you're right about that, bro. I'll go up to Quarry wearing a dress.
Oh, Lord. If I didn't have to root against or Ohio State even more than I do now.
Michigan is going to blow out Washington. And I don't even know why we're talking about this outside the 8 o'clock game. But go ahead, Shally, break down your team. Because I'll tell you right now, you could say he's a one-year guy. Cade looked good. He did. He looked good.
Cade looked really well. Again, I mean, it's a different discussion for a different day. JJ is just going to be the guy next year, unless we end up like 11-1 or something. That's the only really way I see him keeping his job next year. I don't think they're going to blow them out. I can't imagine the Washington practices this week after losing to an FBS school. I think Michigan looked good. They looked a lot better than I thought they were going to. And Cade did look good. Losing Ronnie Bell is going to kill us. It's absolutely going to kill us. He's our senior captain, punt returner, best wide receiver. We have depth there. We do. We don't have any big name guys like we did the last couple of years. We have a bunch of young guys that are good. I don't know. I could see us sticking with a lot of the same game plan, to be honest. They're going to try to run the ball. If they can run the ball, they'll be okay. They got that three-headed monster with Haslam, Corum, and you're going to see a lot more Donovan Edwards this week. Jim Harbaugh already said that. So I'm excited to see him play. I think we win by like 10 maybe. There's going to be 115,000 people in that stadium. It's sold out. They have standing room tickets. It'll be a very good atmosphere on Ann Arbor that night. But
37-20.
I would love it. Trust me. I'm here for that. I don't see that as if I'm being unbiased, I just don't see it.
Okay, so Catrell, what is your thoughts of your mortal enemy?
So I mean, I kind of agree with both of you a little bit. I do think the Ronnie Bell injury is definitely going to play a part in, what Michigan's offense will look like. But I do think Michigan is the better football team than Washington. Washington isn't that good of a team this year. I think they win. I could see them winning by 10 against the Washington Huskies. I will say,
you almost said football team.
You
almost said it.
I will say,
I got him in your head.
I will say, though, that Donovan Edwards is another freshman RB that I am excited to see. Like, don't get me wrong. I hate everything about Michigan football, but Donovan Edwards is going to be a special player. He's probably the second best fresh running back in the Big Ten behind my guy Travion Henderson, but he's going to be a special player. So I do want to see him grow and be more into that offense. So I think that'll be good to be on prime time, seeing him. Hopefully he can have a big game.
So I am going to abstain from my comments on the next game because it's one of my picks. Okay. The game of the week this week, in my opinion, and I think there's no doubt about it, is Iowa at Iowa State. I mean, this game is the game I cannot wait to watch Saturday.
It's the bee's knees.
Yeah, like I'm literally going to be at Rosh Hashanah dinner. Like, I don't really give a shit. You guys can go do the prayer shit. I'm going to watch the game. So Iowa at Iowa State is going to be an incredible game, in my opinion. Iowa went out, and all three of us were wrong. We all picked Indiana. Michael Penix Jr. just did not get over that ACL right now. It's just not ready. And Indiana as a whole did not look that good.
Yeah,
Iowa looked phenomenal, but Iowa looked phenomenal.
They did.
Let me get your opinion on Iowa State, because Iowa State didn't look that good. Iowa looked phenomenal. Let me get your opinion on the game. I'll start with you, Catrell.
So, I mean, Iowa State's a team that I had before the season to be in my college football playoff. It would be tough for me to go against them here, just because if I do, then I don't think they make the playoff if they lose this game to Iowa. I mean, they have a shot because of, playing Oklahoma. They'll probably play Oklahoma twice, but that's besides the point. Iowa State, I do think, is going to look better than what they did last week against Northern Iowa. I mean, Breece Hall didn't look like the Heisman potential running back that we've seen the past couple years. I think this is a big game. They're going to show up. Matt Campbell's going to have those guys ready. And Iowa State, they're also going to show up. I mean, they are no strangers to playing in big games. They play big games all the time. I mean, they just played a big game and blew out Indiana. So I think Iowa is legit. This is definitely going to be the game to watch this weekend. I'm leaning towards Iowa State, though. I think Iowa State gets it done. They win by 4. I'll say 31-27.
Spread's 4.5. Billy Shallcross. Scholastic Shally. Let me know what you think of the game.
I think it's to be again. I think it's to be the game of the weekend easily. I was a little shocked Iowa State looked the way they did. I mean, for the most part, you're bringing back an intact offense with two guys that are kind of like outlier Heisman candidates in Hall and Purdy. And they struggled. They couldn't get anything going against not a very good football team. That's a little concerning. Iowa, on the other hand, doesn't look like a normal Iowa team right now. They're running the ball, they're throwing the ball, but they're not playing that like old school slow Big Ten football. They got athletes flying all over. The defense looks very fast. My gut tells me Iowa, but my head's telling me Iowa State. I think it's to Catrell. I think it's a 4-point game. I don't think they score that many points though. I think you're looking at like 21-17, 17-13, somewhere in there. And it's a rivalry game. I mean, these schools don't like each other. I mean, they're not separated by much. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a very physical game.
I abstain from this because it's one of my picks. So we're going to head into our Pickem segment. Our Pickem segment has been literally on fire from last year to this year. College football, pro football. We're giving you more games this year. Gamblers, get in on it, make your money, and then after you make your money, send a little donation to Wire2Wire because we'll take it. I'll start with my first game, and we'll go round the horn 1-1-1. And then we'll do it kind of like we do the NFL quarterbacks.
You should start with Iowa State.
That's exactly what I'm starting with.
Great job.
Okay, trap versus letdown. Trap versus letdown. If you guys don't understand what I'm talking about at home, trap game, Iowa State. They were in a trap game last week. They're playing Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa's not going to beat us. They're Northern Iowa. We're Iowa State. We're going to kick their ass. We're going to prepare for Iowa because that's the big game on our schedule. Letdown. Iowa's playing Indiana. Disrespected. They're one away in seeds, a 3-point favorite, a close game. It's in Iowa. Iowa's like, we're going to kick Indiana's ass. Big Ten game. We need to this win. Iowa letdown. Iowa State trap. Let that be known. Iowa State wins this game and rolls. Iowa's going to look a lot worse than they looked last week. And I love Iowa State -4.5. Love them. Breece Hall, Brock Purdy. They're going to go off. I love Iowa State in this game. Love them -4.5. Your first pick.
All right, so sticking with that, the Iowa State game, I do think that the offenses are going to get it rolling. So for that game, I like the over. Right now it's at 46.5. I think we're going to have a good shot of that Iowa State gets over the 30-point mark. So I think if they get over 30 points, then that they're going to blow that 46.5 point spread out the water. So I really like the over in that game.
Shally, Scholastic get me. Undefeated last week on his 2 picks.
I'm going to take South Carolina -2.5 on the road against East Carolina. South Carolina actually is kind of a sleeper team in the SEC. They're not going to make they're not going to beat the Floridas or Tennessees, those type people in the world. But I watched about a half of their game last week, and they look pretty good. I also watched East Carolina play Appalachian State and look awful. I don't know why this isn't a bigger spread. I think it's one of the easier games to pick this week. I'm going South Carolina -2.5 on the road.
You remember that 2.5? I know 2.5.
That game is very interesting too because South Carolina has Trey Lance's replacement, the transfer from North Dakota State. He was their grad assistant, and now he's playing quarterback for him. My boy Zeb. Yep. So he had it rolling last week. I really like that pick, Shally.
Okay, so give me your second one, and we'll do the roundabout.
My second one is Georgia -22.5. They're playing UAB. I don't think UAB scores in this game. I highly doubt Georgia comes in and has a huge letdown in this game. They're going to be home. Off the momentum of that game, I think they blow the doors off UAB. I'm talking like if UAB scores, I'm talking like 55-3 type deal. I think it's an absolute blowout. So I'll take Georgia -22.5.
College Catrell.
You guys are like reading my mind right now because I also have the UAB and Georgia game going over. It's at 46.5 points. I think Georgia's going to roll in this one too. They are definitely going to get their offense rolling, and I don't think there is going to be any – they're not going to let up just because the offense really didn't have a rhythm last week. So they're going to make sure their guys get in rhythm, and then after they get the 30-point lead, they're going to put in their backups, and the backups got to get it rolling too. So I like Georgia to roll in this one, and I love the over at 46.5.
Okay, so my game's a little off radar. I have Army -6.5 or 7, where you get on the book. I have Army -6.5 or 7 versus Western Kentucky. I think Army's run game is going to be too much. I think their defense is going to be too much. Western Kentucky put up 50 points in their first game. That's why this spread's as close as it is. It shouldn't be. Army's a better football team. They're tougher. They're stronger. And they're going to walk in that game and kick the shit out of Western Kentucky. They'll win that game by 2 touchdowns. I got Army. And I'll go with my super dog. I'll start my super dog and we'll roll it around. I
was gonna add on to that. Not to mention, game's gonna be on 9/11, so they're gonna be playing Inspired.
Facts. Spitting facts. I didn't even factor that shit in. All right. My super dog this week. I'm gonna take a little bit off what Shally said earlier. Virginia Tech is overrated. Middle Tennessee +21. I don't know. They're going to win the game, but I'll take them plus 21 versus Virginia Tech. Give me your super dog.
So my super dog this week, I don't love this one, but I'm prefacing by saying, after really looking at the numbers to it, I'm starting to like it a little bit more and more. If you look at it on the surface, it probably sound crazy, but deeper evaluation, you might pick up what I'm putting down. I like Stanford at USC plus 17.5.
I was looking at that.
I don't love Stanford, but David Shaw is a great coach. I really feel like he's going to get his team going in this one. And his career record against USC as a coach is 6-5. That's, middle of the road there. But only 2 of his losses were by more than 3 points. So this is a guy who gets his team ready to play that USC team, obviously conference rival and everything. So I like Stanford to cover 17.5.
Let's go. Shally, give me the super dog this week.
I'm going to the Big 12, which will soon be not a football conference anymore. I'm going with Colorado plus 16.5 at home against Texas A&M. Texas A&M looked pretty much how I thought they were going to look. They have a good defense. They're replacing what's face? They struggled offensively. I think Colorado at home, it's not the easiest place to go play. They'll have the Buffalo running around the field. I think they keep the game close. I think it's close. I think Texas A&M pulls it out, but I think it's a very close game.
That's the SEC, Shally.
Yeah, I know. Well, Colorado's Big 12, but old Big 12.
Okay, so our NCAA Pick'em segment is over. We're going to head in the NFL. We got a lot of picks we're going to talk about. We got a ton to get into. We can't stop. We can't stop. We got to keep going. Guys, I got friggin' 4 or 5 games to break down the NFL this week. We could break down almost every one. Like, dead serious. Like, what's the worst game this weekend? Jacksonville, Houston?
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence's first start. What's Houston going to do? Are they going to run the ball 75 times? They have 3 starting running backs. I don't know. You could really break that game down. We're not going to. Don't worry. I guess start with the Birds. Got to start with the Birds. The Falcons. I'm kidding. Eagles at Falcons. Eagles at Atlanta. Eagles are plus 3. This is not an official pick, but this is one of the games I gave Philadelphia to win this year. I think they catch Atlanta with their pants down. Nobody really knows what Nick Sirianni is going to run. I think I kind of believe a little bit into the hype, but the one thing that's super important, Atlanta was 25th in the NFL at run block win rate. So, like, from the defensive point of view, run block win rate. So their defensive line, even though they have Gray Jarrett, stinks. I think the Eagles are going to run the ball. I think Miles Sanders is a big game. And the Eagles win the football game. I think Jonathan Gannon's defense actually looks somewhat decent. I think Matt Ryan puts up a couple points late, makes the game look close. I think the Eagles win the game, 27-24. Shally, you're an Eagles fan. We got to get your opinion second because we're going to go with Catrell when the Browns get on.
I also agree. I think Eagles go to Atlanta to steal the game. I think Miles Sanders has a good game. I think Jalen Hurts probably looks a little bit better than what he is. I think Devonta Smith has a big game.
Right around that track.
I got the game. I got it, yeah. I got it somewhere 31-24. I think push comes to shove. I think if we can run the ball, I think our offense is a little bit more well-rounded than Atlanta. And as crazy as to say, I think our defense is better. We'll have one of our best defenders against one of their best offensive players. There's just nobody that scares me on the defensive side of the ball really for Atlanta to make it, a game-changing play for them. So I'll go 31-24 Eagles. I think they steal it. This was also a game that I had them winning, for their overall record this year. So I agree with you. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm very curious to see how they look, what kind of offense we're going to be expected to see for the rest of the year. They got to give Miles Sanders the ball 20 times. I can't.
Especially the advantage that they have with that offensive line versus the 25th best run defense in football last year. You have to. You got Lane back. Real quick, Brandon Brooks was the number 1 guard in football at run block win rate. You're going to hear that a lot from me this year. I love these new logistical stats. Next level. God, Shally, I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you though. I mean, the biggest issue they had last year is everybody but Kelsey was hurt, and he played hurt towards the end. They have everybody back. This is the best this team is going to look this year, health wise on the offensive line. They got to run the ball. If you want Jalen Hurts to be successful, you have to run the ball. You have a guy behind you that is completely capable of running for 1,000 to 1,200 yards plus a couple hundred yards out of the backfield on screens and catches. The kid's a weapon. We have to use him.
Completely.
He's proven to be durable. You got to give him the ball. There's no reason to go in Atlanta and try to overthink this and be fancy. None. Go in there. If you got to play smash mouth football at the beginning to soften them up, do that. All that's going to do is make the game easier for Jalen Hurts and those two young wide receivers. Give Miles Sanders the ball. If they do that, I think they win. I don't think outside of Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley, I don't know, exactly what to expect out of Pitts yet because he hasn't played that much. So they've played him a couple plays. He's been explosive, but he's playing against backups and they're like screen plays. I mean, the kid's going to be a stud, but
I'm starting the website, letmilesrun.com.
Yeah, you have to. So if they do that, I think they have a good chance of winning the football game.
Catrell, what are your thoughts?
So I think this game is the game is gonna be won or lost by the Philadelphia Eagles defense. I think Jalen Hurts is gonna get them the lead in the fourth quarter. It's gonna be 24-21, maybe 2 minutes, a little bit less. They're either gonna strap up Matt Ryan in that Falcons offense, and they're gonna get off the field, and fourth and 10 or so, they're gonna get them off the field. Jalen Hurts gets to sit on the ball 3 times, game's over. Or they're going to let Atlanta go down the field and score a touchdown. It's not going overtime. Atlanta's going to score a touchdown on the final drive. I'm going to be on your guys' side with this one. I say 24-21. Defense holds up final possession of the game, but that's how I see the game shaking out. It's going to come down to the last possession.
All right, so next game we got to talk about. We have to talk about opening game tomorrow night. Cowboys-Bucks. Have to. Defending world champions. I don't want to. Shouldn't be a game we talk about. We got to talk about it. Bucks won the Super Bowl last year. It's opening week. The Cowboys, they're America's team. Bullshit. By the way, just real quick, on a side note on that, America's team should be the Packers. It shouldn't be the Cowboys. I'm not trying to be a smart ass when I say this, but how many other teams in the league are owned by the fans? Oh, none. Okay,
but it's owned by Green Bay fans, not NFL fans.
Yeah, I get it. But if you're going to pick one team for America's team, what would you think it was?
Are Packers not NFL fans?
No, they are, but
their own different people.
I just think who would you rather look at as America's team? The Green Bay Packers fans or Jerry Jones? It's a no debate. Everybody knows.
Neither.
Okay, so who's America's team then?
I don't know.
Green,
not them.
Nobody is. It's the dumbest goddamn thing that they were named that anyway. Like that's where it starts. That's the problem. It's dumb. Nobody gives a shit about Dallas except for Dallas fans, and they're all delusional anyway. They're the only fan base I know.
I like the Star. I started watching them because I like the Star. You're lying.
They're the only fan base I know.
They won 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
My father really liked Roger Staubach.
They're the only fan base that starts every year legitimately thinking they're winning the Super Bowl every year. No matter what's going on, no matter what's... No, listen.
We do too, all right?
We
could be 0-16 and think we're winning the Super Bowl.
Not like that. They'll argue till you're blue in the face. No matter what happens on the roster, no matter what happened on their team, they could lose half their team in a bus accident, and their fans will show up the next day. Be like, Super Bowl, baby, our third string quarterback. You guys don't even know about him. Yeah, you don't either. They're obnoxious. They're obnoxious. I hate the America's team bullshit. I don't even know why it started. Jerry Jones is a scumbag. I just don't. I hate Dallas. I hope they lose. I hope whatever. I'm not going to say it because I'll get in trouble.
Let's not do that. Why don't we break down the game? Start with that, Shally.
I do think it's going to be a good football game. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what kind of shape Dak's in. They've, treated him with, baby gloves all training camp. They didn't want to hurt his ankle. Then it was his shoulder. Now it's this. Now it's that. He's gonna play real football Thursday. So there's gonna be no kid gloves on Thursday. Curious to see what Zeke looks like. Everybody's expecting Zeke to have this huge renaissance comeback year. I don't see it. I think we've seen the best Zeke that we're going to see. Zach Martin is not playing tomorrow night. He's out with COVID. I think that matters, especially against that very good Tampa Bay defensive front. I think they're going to struggle to run the ball a little bit. And if you look at the over-under for Zeke's yards in the game, it shows you that. It's currently at 51.5. So against most teams, you would think that's a gimme. It's not. They're not expecting him to do well. I think I'm not buying the hype that Dallas' defense is some juggernaut all of a sudden either. They might not be as bad as last year, but they're still bad. I think they're going to confuse Michael Parsons in the middle. It's going to be kind of a wake-up, kind of welcome to the NFL rookie-type game for him. I still think he'll make a couple big plays. I think they're going to have him out of position, and I think Tom's going to do what he wants to do against that defense. I expect Tampa Bay to roll.
Hey, score prediction?
Spread's what, like 8.5?
Yep.
Something like that. I'll go like 34-20, 34-21, something like that.
I'll go second this time. Let you go third, and we'll roll right into your team. So I like the Bucs to win this game in a little bit low-scoring game. The over-under is 51.5. If I had to bet this game, I'd be betting the under. I don't like the betting the spread, 8.5, opening night. But I think it's going to be 27-17 Buccaneers. I think that the Buccaneers defense will slow down the Cowboys offense. Dak has had, coming off an ankle injury, now he has a shoulder injury, hasn't played at all preseason. He's going to look really rusty the first half. I think Tom is going to hand the ball off. I think he's going to go 237-2. 237-2.
You're such an ass.
I honestly believe that this will be a game manager game. I think it'll be a game where the Bucs never are in jeopardy of the game. They win the football game comfy, but it's closer than it looks. 27-17 Buccaneers.
I actually tend to agree with you. I feel like, of course, I feel like everybody thinks Dak's going to look a little bit rusty. I mean, it just comes with the territory. But I do feel like that Cowboys offense is good enough where they're going to move the ball, and so it's going to take up some time. So this is the portion where I agree with you with. I definitely see the under hitting. I think the Cowboys move the ball, but they're not able to put the ball into the end zone. As for Zeke's comeback season, I mean, we talked about it on the running back show. I do think he is going to have – I'm not going to say his best season, but I do think he's going to be better than what he was last year. And I do think he's going to be able to move the ball a little bit against that Buccaneers defense, especially getting both of his tackles back with Collins and Smith. I know losing Zach Martin is going to be a big blow for them, but I still think they'll be able to run the ball somewhat effectively against the Buccaneers. I got it. I like 27-17, but I don't want to say the exact same score. I'll go 24-13 Bucks.
Okay. So we got to get into Browns-Chiefs. Browns-Chiefs. That's probably the game of the week. A rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. AFC
divisional.
Divisional game. The Browns gave Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs all they could handle last year. Now, keep in mind, Patrick Mahomes got hurt. He got a concussion that game. But, I mean, let's be fair.
Baby.
Let's be for Chad Henne with the huge play. No one thought he was going to snap the ball. No one. No one.
On fourth down?
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
You knew
I didn't think he was going to run for 14 yards on 3rd and 15.
I was going to say, did you?
That's the one I didn't think, but I knew they were going to snap it on 4th down.
Browns-Chiefs has the makings to be a very, very good football game. I think that it'll be a close game. I think that the Browns defense has shown you they can slow down the Chiefs offense. I just don't think they can win the football game. I like the Chiefs in this game, and I like it as a close game. I think it's going to be like 28-21, something of that nature. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch of the means. I think the spread's 7, so I got it falling directly on the spread. But I like the Chiefs in this one. I like the Chiefs, not crazy. But the one thing I want to point out, and I'll point out to it a little bit more when we get into power rankings, the Chiefs massively upgrade their offensive line from the Super Bowl last year. So I like the Chiefs in this one. Yeah, Catrell, it's your guys.
I do. I'm very excited to see this matchup, not just because it's my team, but just because of how everything played out last year. These two teams, they look a little bit different just because of the Chiefs upgrading their offense. The Browns look a little bit different on defense, and they got OBJ back. So this game is definitely going to be fun to watch. I think the beginning of the game is what I'm going to be most interested in, because this Browns defense brought in so many new guys, and we haven't seen them all play together on the same field. So I want to see what that communication is like. Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney haven't played all preseason. I'm not worried about Myles, but I want to see what Jadeveon has, left in the tank, what he's going to produce while he's out there. I want to see what it's going to be like having Denzel and Greg, man up the corner at the corner position, and then have John Johnson playing with those guys. I want to see how that communication is. I want to see if those guys miss assignments because they're just not used to, where everybody can cover and things like that. So that portion of it is going to be really interesting. I do think that they're going to give up probably some chunk plays because there is going to be some miscommunication to start. But I tend to agree that it is going to be a very close game. And I think the Browns cover. I don't think they go into Arrowhead and win week 1. So I'm going to go Chiefs 37, Browns 34.
Wow, that's a lot of points. I got to read a comment on the wire line. Tiny Williams checks in.
I saw.
Browns defense has
happy.
to show up. Denzel Ward better not get hurt this season, or his position's up for grabs. I'm going to try my best to like Baker this year. I can't guarantee I will, though. Thank you, Tiny. I appreciate
keeping it real.
The only thing I disagree with, Denzel's position is not up for grabs. The only thing I disagree with.
Listen, she's been very vocal. She doesn't like your boy.
Oh, yeah.
At all.
No, she's never liked Baker.
I'm not talking about Baker.
Oh, no, she likes Denzel. She just doesn't like he gets hurt.
Oh. Shally, break it down for me, my friend.
So, the only thing I don't like about this game is that we have to have it week 1. I would have loved to see this game week 4 after they both have games under their belts. Kind of like to Catrell's point, a little bit more polished. Everybody's in sync and playing well. Then I think it's even more of a banger matchup than it is now. But that being said, I'm watching this game. It's the game of the week for me personally. I think it's the game of the week. We've heard the hype train all preseason long. The Cleveland's this sleeper Super Bowl team that they're one of the teams that could knock Kansas City off along with Buffalo. And we saw them give them everything they could handle in that divisional game last year. And you really can't argue. It's a fact that Cleveland's got better all in the offseason. Curious to see what OBJ looks like. A lot of people that are very high on my boy Peoples-Jones. I think he's going to help be another weapon for Baker to use along with Landry and that two-headed monster he has in the backfield with Chubb and with Hunt. So the biggest thing I'm curious to see, Catrell touched on, Gene, you did as well, is how does Cleveland's defensive line match up with that new Kansas City offensive line? Does Patrick have time all day to sit back there and throw? If he does, I think that's a big problem for Cleveland. I think Denzel Ward and John Johnson, that secondary, are very good. If you're going to let Tyreek Hill and his guys run around for 4 or 5 seconds, that spells disaster for me. I think Kansas City wins. I think it's a very close game. I think it's a Harrison Butker walk-off field goal from 48 yards, 27-24. I think it's the clubhouse leader for game of the year after week 1.
Okay.
The one thing that I do want to add, too, that I want to keep an eye on is that Tyrann Mathieu it's been up in the air all week, and it's going to be up in the air basically until kickoff if he's going to play or not. So
he's game time, and I get the feeling he's not playing. But
if he doesn't play, that does sway a little bit how I think about how the game goes. But if he does, just because he's their leader and he's their do everything guy, they plug and play him everywhere. So,
Catrell, I have a question for you.
What's up?
It's kind of like a Gene out of the blue question. If you're looking at matchups like Baker versus Mahomes, or the wide receivers versus the other wide receivers, which player for Cleveland has to outplay their counterpart in Kansas City for Cleveland to win?
That is a great question. So,
for you, Gino.
So, can I answer?
Go ahead.
I think. Can I
sure
say
can.
This might not be a player, but I think the Browns D line has to outplay the. I would say the Chiefs D line if you want the same position, but I think the Browns D line has to outplay the Chiefs offensive line for the Browns to have a chance to win that game, in my opinion.
I think that's if not I think it's one of the absolute biggest matchups of that game.
After watching the preseason, I think it is going to be a matchup of Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus Mack Wilson.
Oh, okay.
I really think that.
Did you think he was going where I thought?
Yeah, I was like, talking about like skewing a question into your favor.
No.
Shit.
Against
Chubb's
Mac
better.
Wilson, because watching Mac Wilson play in the preseason, and he was the number 1 middle linebacker on the depth chart, he struggles to fill holes correctly. Like he's too slow. It's not instinctive. Most middle linebackers, they see a hole, they go right at it. They see guys pulling, they go right at it. So I think it's going to be very important to see how Mac Wilson can, diagnose the run. And if he's not diagnosing it how he should be, and Edwards-Helaire is, running up the middle for 6-7 yards a pop, I think we're going to be in for a long day. But I also think that means we're going to see JOK pretty early. But that's the matchup that I'm looking forward to watching.
Okay, so we got to get into our pick'em segment. We're running on that time. Let's get into our pick'em segment. There's a couple games I wanted to touch on. Luckily, I'll get to touch on at least one of them. Hopefully, you guys have the other one. But because I wanted to touch on them. I will start with mine. We'll do the round the horn thing like we did last time. One game I absolutely love this week. Absolutely love. Remember the rule of 2.5. Remember the rule of 2.5. The Indianapolis Colts are 2.5-point home dogs versus the Seattle Seahawks. I love the Colts in this game. I love them. I think they're better. So, like, if you want to argue, like, Russell Wilson's better than Carson Wentz, that's fair. I think that the wide receiver matchup, I think that the trenches are what matters in football. I think the Colts O-line's better. I think the Colts D-line's better. And I think the Colts have a better situation in their running backfield and their secondary. So for them to have that many matchups in their favor, I'll take the Colts as the better football team. Obviously, Seattle's a little bit flashier with DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett. But I like the Colts as a better football team. And I give a huge edge at coach to Frank Wright over Pete Carroll.
I'm going to jump in on this one real quick because I'm taking Indianapolis +3 as well for a lot of the reasons Gene just touched on. You can do the Hollywood, the glitz and glamour players. Russell Wilson's definitely that guy. He's earned it. He deserves it. He's every bit of, all the praise that he receives. DK Metcalf is just a monster. But if you're going in a hole, you're factoring in defense, you're factoring in both lines on both sides of the ball. And I don't really want to get into it, but me and Gene have talked about, I think Carson Wentz is going to have a good game against that defense. Indianapolis is the better football team, in my opinion. And I don't think it's close. I think their defense is far superior to Seattle's. Their offensive line is definitely better than Seattle's. I think it's a lower scoring game than people think. The spread's actually going up to 3, Gene. I'm looking at it right now. So
yeah, because 75% of the money's on Seattle.
Yeah, so I love Indianapolis in that game. I'll take the 3 points all day. I'm not going to give them away, but I'm on the same boat with Gene. I think Indianapolis wins the game outright, and if it doesn't, that boat's going to sink really freaking fast with the two of us on it. So there will be no lifeguard calls. There will be no Coast Guards. We'll just get eaten by the sharks, and that's the way.
That's fair. That's fair. Give me your first pick, Catrell.
So I like prefacing my picks. Before the season, I would have leaned your guys' way. With Carson Wentz not being able to play the preseason, I know it looks like all signs point to he's going to play week 1. He's played with Frank Reich before. He knows the system. It's a different feel, though, when you're with a whole new group of guys. It's one thing to know the system, whole different group of guys. Russell Wilson plays his best football at the beginning of the season. It's funny. We sent the graphic to each other. It's going to be like week 8, Russell Wilson's going to lose the MVP from having a bad game. But the beginning of the season, Russell Wilson's going to look great. I think we're going to see Russell Wilson look great. It's the beginning of the season. Chris Carson, he's still healthy. He's going to be on the field. I like Seattle at, even if it's +3, I had them -2.5, but I like Seattle -3 in this one.
Okay, so we're all picking that game. Okay, so second
head to head on that one.
Second game. Give me your second game, Bill.
My second game, I'm taking Buffalo -6.5 at home versus Pittsburgh. I think, unless I'm missing something, I think this is one of the gimme games of the week. I think Pittsburgh's going to go up there. I don't think that offense is going to do particularly well against Buffalo's defense. And I think the Buffalo train is just going to keep on rolling. I think Josh Allen has a huge day. I think him and Diggs pick up right where they left off last year. me and Gene's sleeper, Mr. Emmanuel Sanders, I think scores a touchdown. And I don't think Pittsburgh's defense is going to be what it was last year. TJ Watt really hasn't even practiced. They're not even publicly coming out and say he's going to play. I think he's going to, but I mean, I don't know what kind of shape he's in. You can't expect him to play 60 snaps in that game Sunday. I think Buffalo gets it done. I think they win by somewhere like 10 to 12 points. I think they cover. So I'm going Buffalo at home -6.5.
Give me your second one, Catrell.
My second pick is going to be the over in the Arizona Cardinals Tennessee Titans game. I mean, Tennessee, they have no defense. I don't really love the Arizona defense either, and especially now that Tennessee they added Julio Jones to that offense. I think Cliff Kingsbury is going to look all right. He's going to dial up some good plays, and they're going to get that Cardinals team to score a little bit. But I really like the over in that game.
Don't get him
over
started.
52.5.
Don't get him started.
Hot seat, Cliff. All right. So my second game this week is I have two non-sexy picks. My sexy pick was the Colts +2.5. This is a game that I just don't see. The public is all over the Ravens, and the Ravens are a good football team. But the Raiders, for whatever reason, opening weekend, new stadium, fans back. I love the Raiders +4.5 here. I think that they win the game outright. I think this is so classic Las Vegas Raiders, old Oakland Raiders. John Gruden's going to be so pepped up for this game. And you know, with Baltimore, they have a lot of injury concerns. J.K. Dobbins hurt. Obviously, Hollywood Brown's going to play, but he's questionable. Bateman.
He's not 100%.
Correct. I just, for whatever reason, I like the Raiders in this football game. I think that they'll be able to run the football. I think that Derek Carr will make a couple good plays. And I think the Raiders win the game outright, but I'll take the 4.5. Your second one. Wait. Everybody get a second one? I'll get my third one then. This is another non-sexy play. I don't know where in the hell in the world the Broncos get off being 3-point favorites on the road at the Giants. I don't know where this happens. Teddy Two Gloves is your quarterback. Vic Fangio's on the biggest hot seat that you could possibly be on. I just don't know how they're 3-point favorites. Give me the Giants +3. It's a healthy with Saquon Barkley back. Kenny Golladay gave Danny Dimes a couple extra toys to play with this week. I don't know how this spread is what it is. And all the money's on Denver. I don't get it. Denver stinks last year. So they added Patrick Surtain and they're good now? I don't know. Give me the Giants +3. I think if you wait till game time, you'll probably get 3.5. Because the Giants are known for losing those games by a field goal. So, if you can get the 3.5, take the hook. Give me your third one, Catrell.
So my third one's going to be Minnesota going to Cincinnati. Talk about coaches on the hot seat. Zach Taylor's seat is literally on fire. Like, if it was any hotter, there would not be a seat there. I like the Minnesota offense. We kind of touched on it a couple weeks ago. That offense is very explosive. I think Dalvin Cook and company, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, all those guys, I think they're going to put it to those Bengals. So I like them -3 on the road against Cincinnati.
Funny story you say that before Bill gives his third pick. I actually like a sneaky little play. I like the Bengals in that game. And I love a high-scoring game in that game. Like the over in that game, it was so close to being my fourth pick. I won't give it, but trust me, I think the over is going to hit in that game. I don't think either team's going to stop the other. And I think, I like the Bengals. I like the over, but I'm going to stay away from it.
I like the Vikings, too, just because they get Danielle Hunter back, and then they added Patrick Peterson. I know Patrick Peterson isn't what he once was, but I think their defense looks a little bit better.
You sound like Godfrey talking about healthy Von Miller. We're talking about 70-year-old players now.
I mean,
I'm kidding.
For game one, though, I mean, they're gonna look like studs.
Yo,
it's
speaking
gonna be
about
the wear and tear of the
taking
season.
it back with D. Godfrey tomorrow night. Listen to him. 6 o'clock. He's awesome. Funny as hell.
That Minnesota Cincinnati over under is only 47.5 too. It's nothing even crazy. So, my last pick, I'm going with the Rams at home -7.5. I think they're going to blow the doors off Chicago. We've all talked about, this whole Andy Dalton debacle that they stuck themselves in. I also think, like we've talked about as well, I don't think they wanted to start Justin Fields on the road in a first game like that. And kind of throw him to the wolves against that defense and Aaron Donald. So I think the Rams win comfy. I think Matt Stafford puts up a big game. He's coming out party as the Rams quarterback, having a good offensive line, having weapons around him, a bunch of toys, and a very good defense on the other side of the ball to support him. I think he has a very good first game. So I will take the Rams minus 7.5.
Oh, boo, boo, boo. No, I'm kidding. So the reason I didn't take that game, Shally, I love that game. I really do. But I chickened out. I pussied out.
He's been talking about it literally for like a week now.
I'm going to tell you why I bet you out. I bet you out a game. I'll tell you exactly why.
Literally like 20 minutes before the show?
85% of the public. 85% of the public is on the Rams, and the line moved from 9 to 7.5. How? They must listen. Shally's probably right, and for everything logical in my head, it tells me the Rams are going to win the game by a lot. I can't pick them though. 85% of the money's on one side, and the line's moving that way. I guess scared. Chicago stinks.
Heebie-jeebies.
But I'm scared. So we got to get into our top 10 power rankings. We got to keep it a little bit tighter than we normally do. I have an honorable mention. I always do because it's who I am. And it's always a team that should be on the list. It's on everybody's list. They're probably on both your lists. They're not on mine. They might not be on both your list. My honorable mention is the Baltimore Ravens. I have them not in my top 10. Not in my top 10. I have them 11. And I think they're a fringe playoff team. But for everything that I see, I think they're the second best team in their division. I think they're the seventh best team in their conference. So maybe sixth. It's really close. But I think they're a fringe playoff team, wild card team, if I had to guess. But the Ravens are my 11. My number 10 is the team that's going to win the NFC East. And I think they'll move up this list. The Washington football team. Let me make a point for you real quick, okay? They have the best edge rushers in football. Them or Cleveland. It's very close. You got Clowney and Garrett. You got Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Very, very close. They have a great interior line. They have good linebackers. They have very good secondary. They have a quarterback that's a veteran that can throw the deep ball. They have two speedsters. They have a young running back. They have a good offensive line. They're a good football
tight
team.
end.
And a very good up-and-coming tight end. The next Darren Waller, Logan Thomas. I got Washington number 10.
I'll go next here because I'll save us some time right off the bat here because my 11 and my number 10 are exactly the same as Gene's.
Woo!
I don't think this is so much an indication of Baltimore not being good. I think the AFC just gotten better. I think Cleveland taking that next step. I think Tennessee taking that next step. I think, Indianapolis, what we think they're going to be with Wentz. And not
having the same building as the same list as me. I know it. I already know it. It's the same list. God.
So again, that's not a knock on Lamar Jackson. It's not a knock on Baltimore. I just think a lot of teams around them got better. So that's why I have Baltimore number 11. I'm on that same damn rowboat with Gene with Washington winning the NFC East. So we're either going to, look like geniuses or eat a shit ton of Flex Seal because if not, we're sinking. So
I watch a ton of football. We will look fine. Trust me.
Guess we'll say.
Give me your number 10. But,
my number 10, and my number 11. I feel like you guys both have them on your list. I don't have them on mine. Tennessee Titans are not on my list. They're my number 11.
Wow.
My number 10. The Los Angeles Chargers. My number 10. Love their defense. If those guys can stay healthy, I think their defense can be really good. Like they got a new coach, Brandon Staley, DC from the Rams. He's going to bring over that system. They're going to be great. And we saw what the offense can do last year with Justin Herbert. I like the Chargers at number 10.
Give me your number 9.
My number 9, San Francisco 49ers. I think as another team, great defense. I think they can move up a little bit higher if they decide that they want to get Trey Lance off the pine. But right now, as is with Jimmy G, 9th best team in football.
Shally, number 9.
Number 9 for me, I have Tennessee Titans. Adding Julio, I think they've somewhat tried to address their defensive needs. I don't think they'll be as bad as they were last year. I don't know if that's really possible. And I think they're other than Indianapolis, I think they're in a division where they could pick up a lot of, I don't want to say cheap wins, but not a lot, Jacksonville and Houston are not going to, push them. I mean, that's probably 4 easy wins for both them and Indianapolis right off the bat. So I will go Tennessee Titans number 9.
Wow. Okay. So I have Titans higher than both of you guys. We talked about it. So my number 9 is the San Francisco 49ers also. I have the 40 Winers, number 9. I think that they have a good defense, a very, very good tight end, a great offensive line. That offensive line last year was number 1 in run, block, win rate.
Win rate.
And one of the best left tackles in football, Trent Williams.
You ain't kidding. I think Raheem Mostert and Trey Sermon are going to be a good thunder and lightning combination back there, and I think Trey Lance will start by week 8. That's what I said all year. So that's my number 9. My number 8. This is going to surprise some people. I only have them number 8 now. It's the power rankings. It's early, but I have the Colts from Indianapolis. I have Carson Wentz and Frank Wright and the boys. Jonathan Taylor, one of the best offensive lines in football. Great defensive line, headed up by the man, Darius Leonard. Listen, I'm going to get like WWE vibes right now. But I have the Colts number 8. Give me number 8, Shally.
Number 8, I have the Indianapolis Colts. Again, I think they end up way higher on this list at the end of the year. I think as long as Carson can stay healthy and the more comfortable he gets with his wide receivers and that offense, I think they're just going to keep getting better. That defense is going to be very good. We saw it last year. You make the argument if they had a different quarterback than Phillip Rivers, they win that game in Buffalo. So they're very good. They're knocking on the door of moving up this list and passing some of these teams.
I completely agree. Catrell, give me number 8 and then roll into your 7.
My number 8 is a team that you guys both left off, the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson's lost 7 regular season games in his career. So I think he's going to win a lot of games. I agree, though. They are the second best team in the AFC North. You know who they're behind. But yeah, I like Baltimore. Their defense is going to be good as always. Great cornerback tandem with Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. Baltimore's always going to be a tough team to play. My number 7, the Seattle Seahawks. I like Russell Wilson.
Yuck.
I like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Carson's going to get hurt, but they're going to make the playoffs and they're going to be a tough out. Their defense isn't going to be great, but when you're going up against Russell Wilson and company, you're going to be a tough team to go against. So, like the Seattle Seahawks, number 7.
Yuck. Not even my top 15. Give me your number 7, Shally.
So you don't think they make the playoffs?
No.
I mean, listen, there's going to be.
So
I would say there's going to be
3 teams ain't making the playoffs in that division. I think they're the worst team in that division. I had to call it like it is. They are.
I mean, they could be. They could be. I think the Rams. I feel like the Rams are probably the most given in that division, and I think it's a battle between.
He doesn't
the
like
3.
the Rams.
I
mean,
mean,
he's got the Rams on his list. All
right,
right,
I just think there's going to be 2 really good football teams in that division that don't make the playoffs.
Yep.
Number 7 for me, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I think this team goes as far as Jimmy G goes. I don't think they can possibly get as unlucky with injuries as they did last year. If they do, I mean, that's crazy. But if you have Kittle, you have Mozart, I think Trey Sermon has a big breakout year. I think he surprises a lot of people this year. You got Brandon Ayuk. You got, I already said Kittle. I mean, that team's loaded, and they have a very good Debo. You have a very good young defense as well. I think they're the second best team in that division. So they're 7 on my list.
Okay, so my number 7 is the Tennessee Titans. I have them higher than both you guys do. Listen, I can't put the Colts out of them right now. The Tennessee Titans have too much firepower on offense. They got Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown. Ryan Tannehill's looked great. I think that they're going to run the ball enough to keep their defense out of looking awful. So I have them number 7. My number 6 is the Browns from Cleveland. Updated defense, good run game. Here's my point. This is why I have them 6. I could have them higher. I think their head coach is top 6. I think their offensive line is top 3. I think their defense is top 5. I'm going to read you 5 names. I want you to tell me one of these things just ain't like the other. Mahomes, Brady, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield. There's something missing there. Quarterback play will keep them out of the top 5. I have the Browns number 6. Give me number 6, Shally.
My number 6, I have Green Bay Packers. It's kind of interesting that you said what you just said, because I'll say this. Is Rodgers better than Baker Mayfield? Yeah, probably. Are the rest of the Cleveland Browns better than Green Bay? Absolutely. I will put Green Bay here. This is the part of the list where I think these teams, from this team up, I think can legitimately win the Super Bowl. I think Green Bay has an outside chance. I think they're going to have to go through certain teams in the NFC though. And as a complete football team, I think all the teams above them are better. So I'm going Green Bay number 6.
My number 6 is the team that's probably going to win the LA. They're the team that's going to win the NFC West. I like the LA Rams at number 6. So I know you didn't think they were going to be on my list, but I got them there. I do think they have a little bit of a drop-off on defense, losing Brandon Staley, and they lost John Johnson and Troy Hill to the Browns. But, LA is going to be a tough out, and I do think that they are quiet as it's kept. And I know you've been on them literally since they got Matt Stafford to win the Super Bowl. But they are my number 7, or my number 6, excuse me. And my number 5 is going to be the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen and company. Number 5. Man. Don't love their offense. I love Josh Allen. They have no run game. I think that's going to hurt them at a certain point. But Josh Allen is special enough and their defense is good enough where they're still a top 5 team.
I can't understand.
How far did we go with this? Are they top 3, top 2?
I think they're 4.
Next?
I think they're 4.
So you think they're – you just did
guess.
what? You're fit? You say you're 5th, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Catrell?
I think they're the next one.
All right. So you think they're next?
Yeah.
I'll say top 3. I'll say top 3.
I don't think so. Give me your number 4. You're at 4, right?
No, 5.
No.
You're 5.
5. My number 5 is Cleveland. Probably not as high on them as Catrell is, but I think they're a very, very good football team. I think they're going to be better this year than they were last year. They've added good pieces to make them better. They're more talented. I think everybody's bought in that organization. Stefanski, I think Baker's a legitimate leader. I think their offense will be even better than it was last year for some of the reasons I mentioned earlier.
There's one of the things I disagree with. Sorry, love Stefanski.
Yeah. I think they have a 3-headed attack, wide receiver wise. Again, I think DPJ is a big sleeper, like on bigger leagues. I think OBJ is a good year. We already know what Chubb and Hunt are going to do, and I think Baker has a good year. I think they have an outside chance to win the Super Bowl. I think they can win the Super Bowl.
The one thing that I want to touch on really quick, so they took the team that went to the Super Bowl out of the AFC to the brink. The team got better, but it's crazy that I have them in the top 4. Like, I just want to get that clear.
Bro, stop acting like if Mahomes didn't get hurt in that game. Stop
but
it. There's no brink.
I'm asking a question. You can also talk about the helmet-to-helmet play that didn't get called, but,
Oh, my God, we're not getting into that again.
We're not doing that. My number 5 is the Green Bay.
And I agree with you on that, Catrell. I agree with you on that.
My number 5 is the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. So, for weeks, I've been listening to Shally tear apart Aaron Rodgers, and I couldn't disagree with it more. So, if you really listen to the things he's arguing for, he is arguing for every single teammate that played for him and the disrespect in which they were let go, they were thrown away. He like the way Jordy Nelson was treated, the way Randall Cobb was treated. That's what pisses him off. He doesn't like the way they discard their.
It just doesn't feel like loyalty.
Correct. And they're trying to do the same thing with him. They're trying to do the same thing with him, and that's the way he's seen it. They were trying to do the same thing with him. If he didn't have a great year, he said it perfectly.
I'll let you finish.
He said it perfectly. If I ruined their plans by coming out and having an NBC season because they're drafted Jordan Love to get rid of me. Draft a quarterback in the first round tells you everything you need to know. They're my number 5. My number 4. I have them high. I really like them this year. The LA Rams. I think the LA Rams are a legit Super Bowl contender. The Rams have a very good defense, and I think the Goff was the glue holding back the Rams from moving forward, holding back Sean McVay from opening the playbook. Me and Bill watched the game on Monday Night Football, and it was just like watching Sean McVay try to manage Jared Goff in that Monday Night Football game was disgustingly bad. You don't have to do that with Matt Stafford. Veteran knows how to throw the ball, throw for 5,000 yards 3 times. And to D. Godfrey's point, hold on. It's wild that people think Stafford is a Super Bowl difference-making quarterback. He's a very good quarterback, but no Super Bowl for the Rams. Jared Goff got them there, brother. I don't know what you're watching. Jared Goff got them there.
That defense isn't the same.
It's very close.
But I hear you. It's not. Michael Brockers isn't there. Dante Fowler's not there. John Johnson's not there. Troy Hill's not there. It's a lot different. Nickel Roby-Coleman's not there. It's a lot different.
Teams have turnover in defense constantly. But you have the two best defenders in football on one side, on one team.
That I agree with.
And the offense is going to be drastically better. But to Gene's point too, we watched this game and they had a critical third down, and Goff almost threw a terrible interception. And from that point on, the last two possessions of the game, you could see like the wheels turn in McVay's head of just how he was going to call the safest pass plays he could, that he wouldn't make a mistake but still try to get a first down. And then offense just stopped moving the ball. Like he had no trust in Goff whatsoever. Matt Stafford's going to make a difference on that team. And I'll go into my pick. Number 4 for me, I have the Rams. I think they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams with a shot to come out of the NFC and go to the Super Bowl. That's the way I look at them. I do agree the defense is different. I don't think they're going to be as dominant. I think they're still going to be very good. I do agree with Catrell on that. But the offense is going to be way better than it was last year. I think you're going to see Kupp and Woods both have huge years. I think you're going to see the deep ball more because he just trusts Stafford to throw it. And he's a better deep ball thrower than Goff. So I think there's going to be a whole other facet of that offense that we haven't seen before. I think it gives McVay a lot of freedom to do a lot of things that he didn't have before with Matt Stafford. So I have the Los Angeles Rams number 4.
Give me your number 4.
My number 4 is the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I think they're going to be the second best team in the AFC this year. I mean, we've talked about them at nauseam. I feel like this show, I love the running game. I think that's going to go a long way for us, especially when it gets cold and the playoffs roll around. And hopefully OBJ and everybody can stay healthy. So I really like the Browns as the second best team in the AFC. That's why they're at my number 4. Now I'm going to roll into the second best team in the NFC for me. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady and company, great team. Defense is great. I love Mike Evans. I mean, they brought the whole gang back. But I think if some things just went a little bit differently, we would have saw the Super Bowl matchup that I think we're going to see this upcoming season. So Buccaneers are my number 3.
Your number 3, Shally.
Number 3 for me, I have the Buffalo Bills. I love this team. Everybody that knows me knows how much of a man crush I have on Josh Allen. I love the kid. I love what he does. I love his attitude. I love the way he leads that team. I just don't think I think they're in the same boat as they were last year. I think they're a very exceptional football team. I just don't think they're better than the 2 teams that I have in front of them, which really is going to be no secret. It's going to be a matter of what order we have them in.
Yep.
I'm all for seeing Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen in the championship game again. At some point, they're going to have to get the kid a running back, though, so they can run the ball. You just can't make a living throw the ball 55 times a game. You can't. But they're number 3 for me because they're still talented. They have a very, very good defense. I love everything about Buffalo, so they're number 3 for me.
My number 3 is nobody. Circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. I got that number 3 also. My number 2 is the second best, or is the best team in the NFC. They returned every single starter. I don't know how you don't have them in your top 2, especially to start the season. I understand you thinking the Packers will be better than this year. I cannot put them anybody ahead of them now outside of the one team I have ahead of them, and I'll explain. So my number 2 is the Bucks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I'm going to go 2-1, and you guys can go 2-1 the whole way. Doesn't make sense not to at this point because my number 1 is the Kansas City Chiefs. The way I did this was this way. If I replaced just the quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, what team wins?
Same team.
And in my opinion, the difference was the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs got dismantled. And I think this year you'll see a obviously very upgraded offensive line. I think the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year. I'm not picking. Let me not pick my Super Bowl right now. But it's very, very close. I think it's them versus the Rams, if I had to guess. But give me your 2-1, Shally.
2 for me, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're great. Love Patrick Mahomes. Dudes, can't literally can't miss TV. If you want to watch football and be excited, watch Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're great. I'm curious to see how that offensive line plays and how much of a difference they make. I think they're the best team in the AFC by a small margin. I think Buffalo's right there, and I think Cleveland's inching closer. Every week I think they're going to get closer and closer. I still think that if you're going them versus Tampa Bay, I still think Tampa Bay is the more complete overall football team. That's why I have Tampa Bay number 1. They're defending Super Bowl champions. Kind of like Gene said, I'm basing this off of right now. I'm not saying Tampa Bay is going to win the Super Bowl again this year, but as we sit right now, they're the most complete football team. They are the defending champions. They have everybody back. You have a bunch of young kids on that defense that are going to be even better this year than they were last year. They have a year under their belt now. So I have Kansas City 2. I have Tampa Bay number 1.
Okay, 2-1.
My number 2 is Green Bay Packers. I mean, we all saw the NFC Championship game. I feel like if Matt LaFleur wasn't hiding in the show like a turtle, the game goes differently. So, like the Packers, this is going to be Aaron Rodgers once again, last dance. We're going to see him go back-to-back MVPs here. And then my number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Kansas City with the revamped offensive line, Patrick Mahomes is going to be incredible. CEH is going to have a better season this year. And Mecole Hardman, I feel like, is going to finally step into the number 2 receiver role for them. So, like Kansas City is my number 1.
I like a bunch of other people other than Mecole Hardman, but let me make a point when you guys say, and you got to be kidding me. We are going to do the video game bracket when Shally's in the office. I can't believe you just listen. Matt LaFleur got to go for it on 4th down. He has to go for it on 4th down. I agree with you. That can't be your reason they lost the game. Matt LaFleur.
No. I'm not saying that's the sole reason. I'm saying that game
Matt
goes.
Matt LaFleur. Kevin King had the worst game you'll ever watch a cornerback play ever in the history of football. He needs to be the first name out of your mouth. Second name out of your mouth needs to be the gutless wonder, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, who dropped 2 balls.
No, you were right with Aaron Rodgers. Keep going.
Aaron Jones, who dropped 2 balls and then, my ribs are hurt. Get out of here. Crap. Aaron Rodgers might be 3rd.
Yes.
I don't know how many 300-yard, 3-touchdown games he can give you in the NFC Championship game for him to get the blame. But,
all he had to do was run for 6 yards to get his team a first down, and they win the game. He didn't want to run it. He threw the ball away. He's scared.
I agree with that point. Let's get in. You got to be kidding me. We're going to wrap this one up. We got a lot to get into next week. And then we'll get into the video game bracket finals next week with Shally in studio.
Well, I'm starting it off like I always do. Kyle Farnsworth is going to be my You Gotta Be Kidding Me this week.
This is great.
Criticize the player for not playing with general soreness. Usually I'm like, baseball players, they play 162 games. They want to sit out one game just because they aren't feeling right. I'm all right with that. But not only did he criticize the player he was criticizing was Trey Mancini, the guy that's, just battled back from stage 3 cancer at that. If he's not feeling all right one night, let him sit. He's gone through enough. I'm not saying he gets I'm not saying that I want him to just, sit out whenever he feels like it. But one game with general soreness for a guy that just beat cancer, you're completely out of line. And especially for this Kyle Farnsworth guy who, according to my records here, in 2004, he kicked an electric fan, and he kicked an electric fan because he was frustrated, and then he missed 3 weeks. So you can't even control your own anger, and you hurt yourself, but you're mad because the guy who beats cancer wants to sit out one game. Get out of here. So Kyle Farnsworth.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
So real quick, I just need to say something, 10 seconds on that. The one big thing that pisses me off about Kyle Farnsworth saying that is, does anybody else remember the fact that he missed 3 weeks of baseball from kicking a fan? Like, am I the only one who remembers that?
I literally just said that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize. I was getting ready for mine. My apologies. Shally, give me yours.
I actually don't have one this week. Nobody really pissed me off this week.
I got one. I got one then.
You can go. I mean, I'm all here for that. But I don't have anything good this week. I didn't have anything that really irked me like they normally do.
Shally, you make me sick. I'm disappointed.
Why? I just don't. All my normal guys I usually like beat on. They were all quiet. Bryson figured out to shut his mouth finally.
Rob didn't ruin baseball yet.
Rob didn't ruin baseball this week. He's hung up in some cave somewhere. So
all right. So
blow my socks off.
Listen, it's not blowing your socks off, but I don't know. I really feel strongly about this, and it bothers me so much that a man that stands for ethics, that stands for doing the right thing, that constantly wants to talk about the noble cause, and just Mark Few. You guy got a DUI this week, and driving under the influence might not be a huge thing to a lot of people, and maybe some people have done it. But I take that shit really seriously. I know family members that have been severely injured from people driving under the influence. So Mark Few, you can't be this moral guy, this man of character, this guy that's just essentially, he preaches so much about doing the right thing. You have plenty of money, man. Uber isn't that expensive. It's not. You get an Uber, don't drive drunk. I can't ever be okay with that. So for this week, it's a serious one. Mark Few.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
It's a good one. I mean, I think the one thing about you'll see with him though is he'll make it a teaching experience for his team. And he's never been in trouble ever that I can ever recall. Even doing anything like controversial. So hopefully he learned his lesson. Like Gene said, it's something you learn not to do.
I mean, they pulled him over for radically speeding in a black SUV. They said he had visible signs of intoxication, and he blew almost. Yeah. So it's just one of those things that I can't be okay with ever.
Well, no, because to your point,
the
sad thing is, I mean, it's those people are usually the ones that don't get hurt in those accidents, and that's the bad part of it. So, I mean, it does affect other people's lives and our families' lives, like you said. I know friends that have been in them as well. So it's never a phone call or a text message that you want to get from anybody.
So I just wanted to say something out to the wire line. Everybody's listening right now. I appreciate you. Anybody listening to the podcast version, download us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on Toxic Radio. Toxic Radio has been great to us. The studio is awesome. Obviously, you see we're back there. Although we need to get the damn air conditioning fixed, 'cause I'm sweating like a pig here. But last but not least, our 1-year anniversary is coming up. And I really would like the listeners and the fans to have a lot to say. We're going to have some new merch coming out. We're going to give away a bunch of shit. But I really want some opinions and some things. Maybe we'll do like an outing. Maybe we'll do go remote somewhere. But send me some ideas for the 1-year anniversary. I'd really appreciate it. And we'll put them together. We're already thinking of some stuff. Some t-shirt giveaways and shit like that with the new merch. But yeah, that's my final thought for the week. Do you guys have one?
Nope.
Shally?
I do not. Nothing sports related, no.
Show Jacob deGrom.
Shally, what'd you say?
I said show Jacob deGrom.
Why?
48.
Oh, show Jacob deGrom. Sorry. I think like show his picture. I don't know.
No.
But Shally, I hope you feel better, buddy. Appreciate you still
bud.
hopping on. And thank you guys all for tuning in to Show 48, Show Jacob deGrom. And this is Wire2Wire. We are signing out.